We made our way to the reception hall, eager for the festivities of the ceremony. However, our excitement was dampened by an unforeseen issue. There was a seat reserved for my husband, but none for me. I searched fruitlessly, growing increasingly perplexed until Mary approached me. "What's wrong?" she asked, her expression half amused. "Mary, you've arrived at just the right moment. There's no seat for me somehow," I replied, frustration evident in my voice. Mary's smile widened slightly as she responded, "Somehow? There was never a seat for you in the first place, huh?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "What do you mean?" "My name is Sharon, a 34-year-old housewife. Peter and I have been married for 7 years, and while we've never had children, last year I finally gave birth to a precious baby girl. The journey of childbirth was arduous, but holding my daughter for the first time made it all worthwhile. Peter has been a supportive partner, always making it home at a fixed time to help with parenting duties. Here, sis, give this to my niece," my younger brother interjected, appearing once again with gifts for my daughter. Despite his teasing, his affection for her was evident. Noel and I share a close bond, despite the 5-year age gap. We've only had each other since our parents divorced when we were young. Our mother, a hardworking woman who held multiple jobs to support us, passed away from cancer 5 years ago. Her strength and sacrifice have shaped who we are today, and I'm grateful to have shown her myself in my wedding dress. We've always supported each other, I remarked, reflecting on our tight-knit family. Our mother would be proud to see us living happily. As I playfully teased my brother about his lack of weekend plans, he dropped a bombshell. He was considering marrying someone. I was taken aback. I never expected this from my brother. It was entirely out of the blue. "Can I come over next Saturday to introduce her to you and Peter?" he asked. "Of course you can. I'll check Peter's schedule too." "Yeah, thanks," I replied. After my brother left, I felt a rush of emotions. I had always looked after him at home while our mother was working, so our bond felt more like that of a guardian and ward than siblings. The fact that my dear brother would come to tell me about his wedding was a significant moment for me. I couldn't wait for Saturday. Since my husband had the day off, we planned to meet them together. As the day approached, I grew increasingly restless, eager for their arrival. "Sharon, you've been so fidgety lately," Peter remarked. "Noel is bringing his fiancé over, right? It's making me nervous." "Don't worry, Sharon. I doubt Noel is expecting his sister to be nervous," Peter reassured me. As we discussed, the doorbell rang. My brother and his fiancé arrived about 5 minutes later than planned, and my heart began to race. Opening the door, I was greeted by a beautiful woman standing beside my brother. "Hey sis, welcome. Why are you so nervous?" my brother asked. "Who, me? I'm not nervous," I replied unconvincingly. As we exchanged pleasantries, I couldn't help but notice the warmth in Mary's greeting as she introduced herself. "Nice to meet you. I'm Mary." "I'm Sharon, Noel's sister," I replied, trying to mask my nerves with a smile. I ushered them into the living room where my husband awaited. He gave them a quick once-over before offering to make tea. "Oh, we brought some sweets. Let's all have some," Mary suggested. "Thank you," I replied, accepting the offer to prepare tea together. Once everything was ready, we settled at the dining table and engaged in conversation. Mary, poised and beautiful like myself, appeared slightly nervous, glancing around the room. "So where did you two meet?" I inquired. "We met through work." Mary was working as a receptionist at a client's office where I was involved in negotiations. My brother explained, a hint of bashfulness in his tone. "Not only managing negotiations, but also bringing a fiancé." "Good work, Peter," my husband chimed in, lightening the mood. My brother laughed along, and Mary joined in, easing the tension. "How old are you, Mary?" I asked. "I turned 24 this year," she replied. "Ah, so she's 5 years younger than Noel, which means she's a full decade younger than me," I noted. "Are you planning on continuing to work after getting married?" "No, I'm going to quit. I don't need to work that much. Noel works at a major company, and my family is quite wealthy," Mary explained, her true colors starting to emerge. "You're not working currently, are you?" I asked. "No, I quit after giving birth to my daughter, but I was with the company for about 15 years, I explained. "Wait, 15 years? How old are you now?" Mary's tone shifted, her expression hardening. "I'm 34, I replied. "Oh, a high school graduate," Mary said, sounding condescending. Before I could respond, my brother jumped in, defending me. Sharon started working right after high school. We were poor, so Sharon sacrificed everything for me. Don't look down on her. I wasn't intending to look down on her. I was simply taken aback because I've never encountered someone like that before. However, my brother's defense created an awkward atmosphere. I swiftly tried to diffuse the tension by acknowledging that it must be unusual for Mary. Mary chimed in, saying, "Yes, exactly. I didn't mean it in a bad way. I was just surprised." Noel seemed to accept this and replied, "Oh, okay, as long as that's the case." To change the subject, I asked Mary about her father's profession. "My dad is the editor-in-chief of a publishing company called Double X," Mary proudly stated. I couldn't help but notice something, but I decided not to bring it up to avoid another awkward reaction from Mary. Instead, I chose to let it pass for now. Mary appeared to take great pride in her father's success, and she boasted about it with a gleam in her eye. It almost seemed as if her happiness bordered on smugness, and I couldn't shake the feeling that her nose had grown a few inches longer since she first arrived at our house. And with that, the meeting to announce my brother's engagement came to a close. After bidding farewell to Noel and Mary, I collapsed onto the sofa, feeling utterly drained. "I'm exhausted," I sighed. "You did well. I'll make some coffee," my husband offered, gently cradling our daughter in his arms. "Thank you. But I wonder if Noel's going to be okay," I mused, watching as my husband carefully laid our daughter in her crib. "Huh? Because Mary seems difficult and she was mocking you?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "I hope they're okay," I replied, a sense of worry creeping into my thoughts. "Well, Noel did quickly point that out, so maybe that part will be okay," although I expressed my concern, acknowledging that Noel and Mary had grown up in vastly different environments, likely leading to differing values. Despite Noel's success, their diverse backgrounds could potentially lead to misunderstandings. However, I recognized that it was ultimately Noel's life, and he was the one tasked with making decisions. As his sister, all I could do was offer my support and watch over him. Several months later, Noel and Mary unexpectedly visited our house. "What brings you here all of a sudden?" I asked, curious. "We wanted to give this to you today," Noel said, handing over an invitation to their wedding. "Wow, you're finally holding the ceremony. We really want you to come." "Of course I'll be there. It's my dear brother's big day after all," I replied, excitement bubbling within me. But before I could fully relish the moment, Mary interjected, casting doubt on my attendance. "But you don't have any relatives to rely on, and you can't bring your baby to the wedding, can you?" Her concern was evident, but her tone hinted at something more, almost questioning if I would truly attend. "Don't worry about it. We'll leave her with my mother-in-law," I reassured her. Mary's disappointment was palpable as she murmured, "Is that so?" "What's up, Mary? You seem down," Noel observed, sensing the shift in her demeanor. "I'm just tired," Mary replied with a forced laugh. "Yeah, it's been a rush trying to get everything done because our schedules didn't match." To alleviate their burden, I suggested, "Why don't you head home and rest?" "Thanks for the invitation." To be honest, I hesitated to spend more time with Mary, who clearly harbored dislike towards me. However, she was the woman Noel chose, so I bit back my objections about their marriage. On the day of the wedding, my husband and I arrived at the venue. Noel looked so handsome walking with Mary. As someone who had always cared for him like a mother, I couldn't help but feel moved to tears. "Mom, look at how grown Noel is," I whispered in my heart, knowing our late mother must be watching from heaven, likely emotional witnessing the ceremony. Filled with anticipation from the ceremony, we proceeded to the reception hall. Yet an unexpected problem arose. There was no seat for me. Despite my repeated searches, I couldn't find one. I had to approach the venue staff for assistance. Even after their check, they confirmed there was no seat reserved for me. "Isn't it strange that the groom's sister's husband has a seat, but the groom's sister doesn't?" my husband inquired. The staff presented the seating chart provided by Mary and Noel. Just then, Mary approached us. "What's going on?" she asked. "Good timing, Mary. There seems to be a mistake, and I don't have a seat," I explained. Mary laughed dismissively. "A mistake? There's no way. We didn't prepare a seat for you from the start." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking with disbelief. Mary's expression twisted into something sinister. When Noel is with you, he doesn't care about me, and he's spending all his money on his niece," Mary accused. "He buys things for our daughter, but they aren't expensive, and occasionally, that's not the point. Anyway, my happiness is diminished by you. Please leave." With that, Mary glared at me with disdain. I was taken aback by her hostility. How could someone act so horribly based on misunderstandings? I hated the fact that my dear brother was marrying a woman like this. Suddenly, a man rushed towards us, exclaiming, "Hey, hey, Mary, what are you doing?" "Huh? Dad, why are you so panicked?" Mary responded. It was Mary's father, who also had connections with me. "You didn't say something rude to this lady, did you?" he demanded. "She's the annoying old hag interfering with my happy marriage," Mary retorted. "What? Apologize right now," her father commanded. Frustrated with their argument, I turned to Mary's father and bluntly stated my intentions. "Editor-in-Chief, I want to conclude my column with this week's issue. I deeply apologize. She was disrespectful." "We'll do anything. Please don't quit," he pleaded, realizing the gravity of the situation. Seeing her father apologize profusely, Mary was left in shock. Despite this incident, I found solace in my recent popularity. After successfully losing weight, I had been writing about beauty and self-care on social media. My posts about post-maternity self-care had garnered attention, making me quite popular. I earned a decent income by writing articles for a magazine where he served as the chief editor. Thankfully, my continuous contributions had significantly boosted the magazine's sales. Little did I know that Sharon's younger brother was my daughter's fiancé. "Oh, you didn't come to the family gathering, did you? You said there was no need for just a sister." "I deeply apologize if I had known it was you, Sharon," Mary's father stammered, visibly embarrassed. "Your words only serve to emphasize your poor character," I retorted, silencing him with my firm response. Mary's father could only stand there, speechless. "Anyway, I'd like to formally discuss my column with your company later." "Goodbye," I declared, swiftly leaving the venue. My husband followed suit, insisting that if I wasn't attending, neither was he. Suddenly, my brother Noel rushed over, questioning why we were leaving. I explained everything to him, and his expression turned incredulous. "What? That can't be. When I was at home, I saw a seating chart with Mary and your names on it," Noel recounted. Realizing that Mary had shown a fake seating chart to Noel, his face flushed with anger. He stormed into the reception hall and called off the engagement, stating his reasons. "I can't marry a person who treats my sister so poorly," Noel declared, his voice firm and resolute. It became evident that he wasn't the one spending extravagantly on gifts for his niece. It was Mary who had a penchant for extravagant purchases. This, combined with the lavishness of their wedding, strained their finances. Being unjustly blamed for the financial strain caused by Mary's spending habits was anything but pleasant for Noel. He'd realized that Mary was at fault for their predicament. Noel explained to the attendees that the event would now be a simple dinner, and then he left. Later, issues regarding the wedding costs arose, but I cooperated with Noel to resolve them. Despite ending up at a disadvantage due to the breakup, it was clear that it was originally Mary's fault. Using my influence, I made a deal with Mary's father. If he agreed to cover all the costs, I would continue my contract. Mary's father agreed, albeit reluctantly, and this allowed Noel to break up with Mary without any repercussions. However, I did report the incident to the publisher. As a result, Mary's father was transferred to a different department, losing his position as the editor-in-chief. Mary was disowned by her father, who blamed her for the entire debacle, and she was forced out of the house. Despite having no access to money, she couldn't shake off her spending habits. It was a consequence of her own actions. Noel assured me, "Next time, I'll find someone who values you as my sister." I replied, "Just find someone who doesn't mistreat others." Mary's abnormal behavior was evident, and I felt relieved that the problem was resolved safely. I hoped Noel would find happiness with someone who truly appreciated him. As I wished for Noel's happiness, I resolved to continue working hard for my husband and daughter at home.